Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. Kyle's hand stayed on Mia's waist just a little too long. My name is Ethan, I am 29 and engaged. I watched them from the doorway, one foot inside the room and one out. Mia laughed at something he said, but her shoulders edged back an inch. Kyle's fingers did not move. My chest tightened in this dull, stupid way, like I had run stairs in dress shoes. I told myself to chill and cross the room anyway. Not fast, not slow, just that fake casual walk you do when you pretend everything is fine. Kyle stood close enough that his arm pressed against her side. Mia spotted me and the smile on her face shifted a little, not gone, just tighter at the edges. Look who finally showed up to his own party. Kyle grinned at me, he still kept his hand on her. I was in the hall, my voice came out lighter than I felt. Talking to my mom, she thinks we need more chairs. He laughed and squeezed Mia's waist once, like a punctuation mark I did not like. Your mom thinks you need more everything. He looked at Mia then. Good thing he locked you down before she started auditioning people. Mia stepped out of his grip. It was smooth enough that no one could call it a flinch, but I felt it like a slap anyway. She moved to my side and brushed her arm against mine. That small move calmed me for half a second, then made the knot in my stomach worse. Kyle reached for a bottle on the counter. Shots for the happy couple. He tapped 2 glasses down with a little too much energy. Liquid sloshed over and ran down his fingers. Come on, one more before the old married life starts. I am not married yet. I tried to joke, but the words tasted off. Technicality, he winked at Mia. You already act like his wife. Her eyes flicked to me, then to the glasses. She picked one up because that is what you do when everyone is watching. I saw the way her hand shook, just a small tremor, the kind you pretend is nothing. We knocked the shots back, people whooped from the living room, someone shouted our names. Music thumped in the walls, all the normal party noise wrapped around us while my brain focused on one detail. Kyle's eyes on Mia, not me. Go say hi to your uncle, she nudged me with her elbow. He keeps staring like he wants a word. She said it lightly, but I heard the push in it. Move, go, I told myself she just wanted me to do host stuff. That was my job tonight. Smile, toast, float around. I kissed her cheek and stepped away. As I turned, I saw Kyle lean in again. His mouth went close to her ear. His hand brushed the small of her back lower than before. I could not hear the words, only saw her jaw clench. I almost stopped walking, almost. Instead, I forced myself into the hall and threw on this big fake grin for my uncle. He clapped my shoulder, asked about venues, started a whole thing about budgets. I nodded and answered and laughed while my mind kept replaying that tiny wince on Mia's face. Every answer I gave ended with the same silent question in my head. Am I overreacting or ignoring something obvious? When I finally escaped, I went straight back to the kitchen. They were not there. The glasses sat empty. A drop clung to the rim on one, catching the light like a little alarm bell. My heart kicked harder for no logical reason. I checked the living room. People shouted over a board game. Mia sat on the floor between 2 friends, legs folded under her. Kyle lounged behind her, one arm draped over the back of the couch, close enough to touch her hair if he straightened his hand. He looked relaxed. She looked like she was trying very hard to look relaxed. Babe, come play, she smiled at me, and that helped. You are missing your own party. I am working the room. I dropped down next to her, my knee pressed against hers. It felt like staking a claim, which made me hate myself a little. Kyle tilted his head at me. Let the man enjoy his last night of freedom, right? He bumped my shoulder with his fist. Before the calendar fills with couples, dinners, and baby showers. Everyone laughed. I laughed too, because that is what you do when your best friend makes a joke that cuts a little too close. Nobody wants to be the only one not laughing. Mia's hand sneaked under the table and squeezed my leg. That small touch said more than any joke. Stay with me, do not leave me alone with him again. I felt that clear as day. I wish I had listened as closely to that feeling as I do now. A few rounds later, people drifted off for drinks. The circle broke. Mia headed toward the bathroom. I stood to follow, then stopped myself. It felt clingy, controlling. The last thing I wanted was to be that guy hovering over his fiancée. She can pee without a chaperone, Kyle smirked at me as he passed by. Relax, man. He moved in the same direction she had gone. My stomach dropped. He probably needed the kitchen, I told myself. Another drink, that was all, that had to be all. I stayed in the living room for maybe 2 minutes. It felt like 20. I cracked some joke with a cousin, missed my own punchline, and then I could not take it anymore. I headed down the hall. Voices floated from the corner near the coat rack, low and close. Mia stood with her arms crossed. Kyle leaned against the wall, one foot propped behind him. It looked casual, too casual. His body tilted toward her in a way that made my skin crawl. Everything good here? I kept my tone light. I think it came out a little sharp. Mia uncrossed her arms at once. Yeah, just talking. She moved toward me quick, like gravity had changed. Kyle smiled, but something in his eyes hardened. I was telling her you outkicked your coverage. He slapped my chest once, in case you forget. Not planning to forget. I held his gaze for a second longer than normal. His grin stayed, but the warmth behind it did not. Mia slid her arm through mine. I need water. Her voice had that thin edge I only heard when she was close to crying. Nobody else ever noticed it. I heard it now and pretended I did not. We walked away. I felt him watching us until we turned the corner. My shoulders stayed tight even after I filled a glass and handed it to her. You okay? I tried to sound casual. I am fine. She took a sip, her lips pressed together after like the taste surprised her. Just tired. I could have asked more right there. I could have said, tell me what he said to you. Instead, I nodded and cracked some dumb line about her turning into a pumpkin if we stayed up too late. She smiled on cue. That smile hurt more than a slap would have. The night rolled on, more guests arrived late. Someone started a toast without warning. I got pulled into photos. Every time I lost sight of her, a little jolt hit my chest. Every time I saw Kyle, that jolt turned into this slow, hot irritation I kept pushing down. At one point, I stepped out on the small back porch to breathe. The air felt cooler, the noise softer. I leaned on the railing and tried to reset my brain. For maybe 30 seconds, I almost convinced myself I was being stupid. The door opened behind me. Kyle stepped out alone. Big night, man. He bumped his shoulder into mine again. You holding up? Yeah, I stared out into the dark yard. You. I am great. He dragged the word out. Your friends are fun. His tone made my teeth grind. They are your friends too. He laughed under his breath, some more than others. A warning flickered in my head, little spark. I turned to face him. What is that supposed to mean? He lifted his hands like I had overreacted. Relax, I am just messing with you. His eyes stayed flat while his mouth curved. You know I love Mia, she is good for you. The way he said love scraped every nerve I had. Then act like it, the words slipped out before I could smooth them. For a moment the air between us changed. He dropped the playful tone just for a heartbeat. You think I would ever do anything to mess this up? He looked right at me, no smile, no laugh. I opened my mouth, then closed it, because the honest answer in my chest was yes, actually. Yes, I do think that, but saying that out loud felt like crossing some line I could never uncross. You drink too much sometimes, I went with that instead, that is all I am saying. His face relaxed, he barked out a laugh and clapped my back. Man, everyone drinks too much at an engagement party. He moved to go back inside. Stop worrying, enjoy your fiancée while you still can. The door shut behind him. I stood alone again, hands gripping the rail. I told myself I had just imagined that edge in his voice. If he really meant anything, he would not be so open about it. That was the story I sold myself. When I walked back in, Mia stood near the counter, talking to two friends. Kyle slipped behind her with another round of drinks. His hand brushed her hip as he passed them out. Her spine straightened for a second. Then she laughed at something one of the girls said and forced herself to relax. I felt it, that click inside, like some gear had skipped a tooth. Nothing broke yet, not on the surface, but something did not fit right anymore. Later, after most people left, I walked a cousin to the door. Voices hummed from the kitchen again. I heard Mia's low and firm. I heard Kyle's louder, sharper, then dropping into a whisper. By the time I came back, he was gone, jacket already off the hook. The front door clicked a minute later. Mia stood at the sink with her hands braced on the edge. Her shoulders shook once, twice, then went still. You okay? The question felt useless as it left my mouth. I am just tired. She did not turn around. Long day. I stepped in behind her and wrapped my arms around her. She leaned back into me, but not all the way. There was a space between us I had not felt before. I could have pushed then. I could have told her every detail I had noticed and asked for every detail I had missed. Instead, I kissed the side of her head and told her what I thought a good fiancé should say. Kyle was drunk. He jokes too much. He does not mean anything by it. She exhaled, slow and shaky. Yeah, maybe. We went to bed with that maybe sitting between us like a third person. I stared at the ceiling and replayed the party in my head, his hand, her flinch, my own forced laugh over and over. Back then I called it nerves and brushed it off. Now writing this, I know that night was not just an engagement party. It was the first time I watched my best friend test how far he could go with my future wife, while I stood there and decided to look away. Mia pulled her hand away the second I reached for it. That was the first thing that morning. Not the headache, not the dry mouth. Just her fingers sliding out from under mine when I tried to lace them together on the couch. Sorry, she tucked both hands under her thighs. They are cold. They are not, I tried to joke. You always run warm. She stared at the TV that was not even on. Not today. The room felt wrong in that quiet way where every small sound hits harder. The fridge hummed. A car passed outside. She kept her eyes fixed forward like she watched something only she could see. How are you feeling? I leaned back and watched her profile. Last night was a lot. Fine, the word landed sharp. Fine, good, or fine, please stop asking. I forced a small laugh. Just fine, she shifted away from me a few inches. The gap looked small and felt massive. I told myself she was exhausted, too much social stuff, too many questions about dates and rings. That explanation sounded neat in my head and still somehow cheap. We pulled it off though, I nudged her knee with mine. Everyone seemed happy. Yeah, her mouth moved like the word hurt. I waited for her to mention the party on her own. A joke about my uncle, a comment about the toast, anything, she gave me nothing. I tried again, did you sleep at all? A little, her eyes were darker than usual, enough. She was lying, I knew her tired face, and this was something else. This was the look she had after a bad work call or a fight with a friend, except this time I was the only one around. You are upset, I did not bother softening it. Is it about yesterday? She pressed her lips together, then relaxed them. Can we not do this right now? That answer set off something loud in my chest. Not do what, talk? I am trying to decide if it is worth it. Her voice shook once, then steadied. Because if we start, we will not stop. I watched her swallow. Her throat moved fast, like she wanted to get the words down before they came back up. You are scaring me a little, my palms were damp. Just tell me if I messed up. Her eyes finally met mine. There was anger in them, but it floated on top of something softer and worse, disappointment. You did and you did not. She pulled one hand free and rubbed her forehead. That is the problem. I hated that answer. It made me feel like I was taking a test I never studied for. Start somewhere, I leaned forward, pick one small thing. She let out a long breath. Okay, she stood up suddenly, wait here. My stomach clenched as she walked down the hall. Every step sounded louder than it should. She came back with her phone in her hand, not just holding it, gripping it. She stopped in front of me and stared at it like it might bite. I keep thinking I imagined it. Her thumb hovered over the screen, so you tell me. She unlocked it and tapped a few times, then held it out. The contact name at the top made my teeth grind. Kyle? I laughed once, short and ugly. What did he spam you memes again? Just read. Her hand trembled as she placed the phone in my palm. The thread was not short. The first messages were older, weeks, maybe more, jokes about group plans, memes, stuff I had seen when they texted in front of me, totally normal. That part almost made me relax. Then I scrolled. A line from him. You looked insane in that dress at dinner. I frowned. I tried to remember which dinner he meant. My brain presented zero helpful images, only a hot rush of irritation. Another line from him a few days later. He is lucky, you know that. Then, he does not say it enough, but I will. My jaw clenched, my eyes jumped to Mia's replies. Short answers, neutral, she never flirted back, just changed subjects or sent a thumbs up. That helped and still burned. I kept scrolling. You should let me take you out sometime just as friends. Underneath her response. You know that is not happening. His answer. Relax, I am teasing. That word made my skin crawl. Relax. I could hear his voice in it. I had used that word all night in my own head. That hit deeper than I wanted to admit. I felt her watching me read. My grip on the phone tightened. Where does this start for you? My voice came out low. That depends, she crossed her arms over her chest, on what you call a problem. My pulse pounded in my ears. I scrolled to the bottom. The last few entries were from the week. Before the party, he had texted late one evening. Sometimes I think things would be different if we met first. My stomach lurched. Under that, no reply from her, just a timestamp. Then a day later. You drive him crazy in a good way, you drive me crazy too. No reply. Then one more, sitting there like a landmine. If you ever change your mind, you know where I live. The room tilted for a second, I had to blink to steady it. That one, I tapped the last line with my thumb. Why did I never see this? Because I deleted earlier ones that felt worse. She did not soften it. These are the ones I kept in case I needed proof. The word proof landed like a punch. Proof meant she had already thought about not being believed. How long have you been dealing with this? My voice cracked halfway. Too long for a guy who sleeps next to me to keep missing it. Her eyes were glossy now, but she held them steady. That hurt more than his messages. I wanted to argue, and I also wanted to crawl under the couch and vanish. Both instincts hit at once. He is drunk when he texts late. The excuse came out before I could stop it. You know how he gets when he is bored. She laughed once, harsh and humorless. You are already defending him. I am not. I straightened up. I am trying to understand if this is flirting or if he actually crossed a line in his head. He crossed it with his hands last night. Her voice dropped, not just in his head. Everything inside me went quiet for a second. The sound from outside faded, even the fridge noise vanished. What did he do? The question scraped my throat raw. She looked down at the floor. You remember when I went to get water and you stayed with your cousin? My chest tightened, I nodded once. He followed me, she pressed her nails into her arms. I thought he just wanted ice or something, so I did not freak out. I could see it now, the empty kitchen, the music muffled, her alone at the sink, him walking in behind her, my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. He stepped between me and the counter, her eyes flicked up to mine. He put both hands on my waist and pulled me closer. Heat shot through me so fast I felt dizzy. I told him to move, she blinked away a tear, I said it more than once. What did he say? My hands shook. He leaned in and whispered in my ear, her mouth twisted. He said this should have been us. My vision blurred for a second. I had to set the phone down on the table because my fingers were numb. He let go when someone walked past the doorway. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. Then he grabbed a bottle and turned it into a joke. A wave of shame crashed over the anger. I had been in the next room laughing with family while this happened. Why did you not tell me right away? It came out harsher than I meant. I tried, her head jerked up. Every time I pulled you aside, someone called your name or you brushed me off because you were busy playing host. I remembered her saying she needed water. I remembered her grip on my leg under the table. I remembered every chance I had to press harder and how I let each one slide past. I was juggling a lot. I reached for her hand again. I did not realize it was that serious. She stepped back before I touched her. That is exactly what scares me. That I missed it, I felt suddenly small. That you did not want to see it, her voice cracked on that last word. I opened my mouth to deny that and stopped. Because deep down, I knew I had seen enough to ask questions. I just did not want to start a war between my closest friend and the woman I planned to marry. I will talk to him, the promise came out fast, today right away. And say what, she wiped another tear, that your buddy needs to tone down his jokes. He grabbed you and said it should be him. Rage sharpened my tone, that is not a joke. Then stop calling it one, her hands dropped to her sides. You keep using that word to make it smaller so you do not have to pick a side. That landed so clean and direct that I had nothing. I just stood there, breathing hard with my pulse pounding in my ears. I looked at the phone on the table again. The last message from him still glowed on the screen. The casual thread in it was clear now. If you ever change your mind, you know where I live. Back then, part of me still wanted to believe he meant nothing, that it was drunk talk, that it was clumsy humor, anything but what it actually was. A man I trusted pushing against the boundary of my relationship, one text at a time. I will fix this, I finally managed. The words sounded weak even to me. I am not letting it slide. I am watching what you do, not what you promise. She picked up the phone and locked it. Because last night you watched him put his hands on me and you still laughed with him. Her voice was low now, no yelling. That quiet tone cut deeper than a scream ever would. She walked down the hall and closed the bedroom door, not slammed. Just a firm click that told me I was on one side and she was on the other. I stayed in the kitchen staring at my own reflection in the blank TV screen. My best friend's words burned in my mind. My fiancé's eyes burned even more. In that moment, I still thought the main problem was him. I did not understand yet how much damage I had already done by choosing comfort over confrontation. I called Mark before I knocked on the bedroom door. My thumb hovered over his name for a second. Then I hid it and put the phone to my ear so I would not chicken out. The hallway felt narrow, like the walls pushed closer with every ring. I hoped he would not answer and also really needed him to answer. Yo, his voice came through rough and tired. You okay, man? No, I walked into the living room so Mia would not hear. Can you meet up today like now? There was a pause, short but heavy. You in trouble or just hungover? Both. I dropped onto the couch. I need to talk about Kyle. Another pause, longer this time. Yeah, okay, same spot as usual. I agreed too fast. The call ended and the quiet slammed back into the room. The bedroom door stayed shut down the hall. I stared at it and felt my throat tighten. I thought about knocking. I almost did. My hand even lifted halfway before I let it fall again. I told myself I would talk to her after I got my head straight with Mark. That sounded reasonable in my brain, even though it was actually me ducking the hardest part. I grabbed my keys and wallet. When I reached the hallway, I stopped in front of the bedroom. My knuckles tapped once, soft, more like a test than a real attempt. You heading out? Her voice came through the door, calm but distant. Yeah, I swallowed. I am going to see Mark. Right, the word came out flat, have fun. Fun, that stung more than if she had yelled. I almost explained, almost threw out the words I need advice or I am trying to fix this. Instead, I just stood there like an idiot with my hand on the doorknob that I did not turn. I will be back soon. It sounded stupid even as I said it. Okay, no extra words, no nickname, just that. I left the apartment with my stomach twisted. In my head, I framed this as action. I was going to gather information to get backup. That version made me feel active, not cowardly. The more honest version is that I went looking for someone who might tell me I was not crazy. Mark was already there when I walked into the place. Hoodie hat, eyes glued to his phone. He looked up and his face changed the second he saw mine. Damn, he sat up straighter, you look wrecked. Good start, I dropped into the seat across from him. My legs bounced under the table. I am having a great weekend. He watched me for a moment quiet. Is this about the party? Yes, I let out a laugh that did not sound like me, and about Kyle, and about me apparently being blind. He leaned forward with his elbows on his knees. Okay, go. I pulled out my phone but did not unlock it. My throat felt tight again. You ever get the feeling someone has been telling you who they are for years and you just did not listen? With Kyle, he raised an eyebrow all the time. The way he said it hit me harder than I expected. It was so casual, so quick, like he had that answer ready long before I asked the question. What do you mean all the time? My voice came out sharper than planned. He studied my face and tell me what happened first. I did not want to rehash every detail and I also could not get away with being vague, so I walked him through it but only the fresh parts, the messages from my phone earlier, the way she had pulled away from me that morning, the shove in the kitchen I did not see until after. When I repeated the line about this should have been us, his jaw tightened. Yeah, he rubbed his forehead, that sounds like him. Something inside me lurched, sounds like him how? Mark looked away for a second like he needed to aim his next words. You really want me to be straight with you? If you go gentle on me right now, I will probably lose my mind. My hand dug into the edge of the seat. He nodded once, okay, then I am not sugarcoating. I braced myself, which turned out to be useless. You know how he is about women who are already in relationships. Mark tapped his fingers on the table. He treats that like a challenge. I stared at him. I felt my brain reject that sentence and then drag it back in. I thought that was just talk. It started as talk, he shrugged one shoulder, then it was not. I knew I had heard him share stories before, always with that same grin. I had treated them like wild tales, exaggerated for laughs. Right then, those memories snapped into focus in a different way. Give me one example, I asked, just one. Mark let out a slow breath. Remember our old manager at the store before you got your current job? Yeah, I frowned, trying to pull up the image. What about her? Her husband came in sometime. As he watched me carefully, Kyle hooked up with her while they were still together. My tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. He told me they had broken up before anything happened. Mark shook his head. They were on a break after he started pushing it, not before. Heat crawled up my neck. All those late nights where I had laughed and called him a menace flashed through my mind. I had never once thought about the husband in that story. That detail had always been a punchline, not a wound. That is one, Mark went on, quieter now. There are more. I leaned back like the seat had pushed me. How many? I stopped counting. He gave a short, humorless laugh. The neighbor with the ring who sometimes asked him for help with her car. I flinched. I remembered him bragging about a neighbor once, but I had tuned half of it out. She was separated, I tried. He mentioned that. She told him she was trying to make it work with her husband, Mark replied. He went after her anyway. I felt a sour taste rise in my throat. The details blurred together, but one thing stayed sharp. Every time there was someone already committed, and every time Kyle treated that like a starting point, not a stop sign. Why are you telling me this now? My voice sounded rough. Because you finally asked the right kind of question. Mark's eyes stayed on mine. Before, if I hinted at it, you brushed past. I wanted to argue, say that was not true, that I would have listened. But the moment he said it, I could think of times he had rolled his eyes after one of Kyle's stories and I had just changed the subject. I had written it off as their usual bickering. So you knew he could do something like this to Mia. I heard my own accusation and winced at it. Slow down, he held up a hand. I knew he had a thing for women who are off limits. That includes my fiancée, my voice climbed. How is that different? Mark lowered his hand but kept his gaze steady. I thought he had at least some line with you. The word line made my head spin. For years I had repeated that joke that he had no boundaries. I had said it with a smile, like we were talking about someone who talks loud at parties, not someone who locked in on people already taken. He was texting her for weeks, I muttered. Months, I do not even know how long. You saw it all. Only what she kept as proof. My throat tightened around the last word. She deleted the worst ones. Mark grimaced. That tracks. How does that track? I felt anger flare again. Explain that sentence because it sounds crazy. He pushes, Mark answered. If someone pushes back hard, he backs off just enough and turns it into a gag. Something clicked. That was exactly what had happened with the line about taking her out as friends. When she shut it down, he had turned it into teasing, and I had bought that version without asking for more context. Why did nobody grab me by the shoulders earlier and shake me, my hands clenched? Why did no one spell this out? Mark studied me for a beat. Would you have heard it? I opened my mouth and nothing came out. Because I could picture my reaction perfectly, I would have defended him. I would have said he was just talking big. I would have told Mark he was overreading everything. I wanted to believe he was just wild, not dangerous, I admitted. That is on me. Look, Mark leaned back. He loves the thrill of what he should not touch. That thrill is my future wife. My chest hurt as I said it. I know, he dropped his gaze. That is why I am not making excuses right now. A silence fell between us for a few seconds. Not comfortable, not easy, heavy. You ever notice how he acted around her before this? Mark asked softly. I thought back the way he always volunteered to help her carry things, how he offered rides even when I was available, how he claimed he was just trying to make her feel welcomed. I had translated everything into friendly because that story fit my world. I saw it, I said slowly. I just gave it a nicer name. Yeah, Mark rubbed his jaw. You called it supportive, I called it circling. That word lodged in my head, circling, like he had been waiting for something, not just hanging out. I feel stupid, I let out a breath, like I watched a fire start and complimented the warmth. Mark snorted once. You are not the first guy to confuse loyalty with denial. That stung because it was dead accurate. I had grown up with this idea that defending your friends no matter what made you solid. Nobody told me there was a line where that stopped being loyal and started being cowardly. So what do I do now? My voice dropped. Do I just cut him off? Do I go punch him? Do I tell our entire group? Mark exhaled slowly. First you believe Mia completely, not halfway. I nodded. That part at least felt clear. I do. Then you confront him directly, Mark continued, face to face. What if he twists it? My mind flashed through a dozen arguments. What if he says she wanted it? Listen to me, Mark leaned in again. He is good at spinning stories. As I know, he is not good at hiding that ugly thrill when he talks about off-limits women, Mark added. If you push the right way, you will see it. I imagined that conversation and felt nausea rise. Him standing there, palms up, acting wounded, me trying to keep my voice steady while everything in me wanted to grab his collar. And if he admits it, my voice dropped lower, if he actually owns it. Then you decide if you want that anywhere near your marriage, Mark replied. Because right now, he is inside your house and texting the person you are supposed to protect. Those words settled over me like a weight. I thought of Mia standing at the sink that night, shoulders rigid. I thought of her voice that morning when she told me she was watching what I did, not what I promised. I kept saying he was just drunk, I muttered. I used that line more times than I can count. You were covering your own fear, Mark answered quietly, not his behavior. That hit harder than anything else he had said so far. It forced me to admit that a part of me had been scared to see my friend clearly, because then I would have to do something about it. I pushed my hands over my face and stayed like that for a moment. I could smell the faint salt from my own skin. My head felt too full, like my thoughts had no room to move. When you talk to him, Mark added, do not soften it. I do not even know where to start, I whispered. Start with the message where he invited your fiancée to his place, Mark replied, then bring up his hands on her. A cold rush went through me, hearing it framed that bluntly made everything sharper. Each piece that had felt isolated now formed one ugly pattern. Do you think he actually hoped she would leave me? The question came out before I could stop it. Mark took a breath. I think he likes breaking things other people built, he said. So yeah, I think that possibility excited him. Something inside me snapped at that, not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet internal click where respect used to sit. We wrapped up soon after that, neither of us finished anything. He clapped my shoulder when we stood up, not like a pat on the back, more like bracing me before a hit. On the drive home, my hand stayed tight on the wheel. The version of Kyle in my head kept shifting. Old jokes rearranged themselves into warnings I had laughed right past. If I am honest, I spent that whole ride trying to find just one memory where he walked away from a boundary because it was decent, not because he got caught. I did not find one. By the time I pulled into the lot, one thought drowned out the others. If I did nothing now, I was not just a guy whose friend hit on his fiancée. I would be the guy who watched it happen twice. I called him before I even turned the car off. The ring sound hit my nerves like tiny hammers. I gripped the wheel with my free hand. Every time the line clicked and kept going, my pulse jumped. When his voice finally came through, too loud and cheerful, I almost hung up. That was my first stupid impulse. My guy, he sounded hyped. What is up, fiancé? We need to talk, my voice came out flat, in person. That sounds serious. I could hear movement in the background, you dying or getting cold feet. Not a joke, I stared at the dash. I am outside your place. Silence, a real one this time. You drove here, his tone shifted, right now. Yes, I swallowed, opened the door. Another pause, then a muttered curse, give me a second. The call ended, I sat there in the parked car, engine still running, hands still locked around the steering wheel. A big part of me wanted to throw it into reverse and leave. Another part wanted to go through his window instead of his door. I shut the engine off and stepped out. My legs felt heavier than they should. Every step to his building felt like I was walking toward a version of my life that might not exist by the time I came back out. Dramatic, I know, but that is how it felt. He opened the door before I could knock. Sweatpants, t-shirt, hair messy. He looked like someone who had just rolled out of bed, not like a man who grabbed his friend's partner the night before. You look like hell, he smirked. Rough first day as a taken man. I am not here for jokes. I brushed past him into the living room. My chest was tight and hot, closed the door. He shut it slowly. You want water or something? I want you to explain yourself. I turned to face him with Mia. He frowned for a second, then forced a little grin. Man, you still spinning over last night. You are calling that spinning? I could feel my jaw tense. You grabbed her and told her it should have been you. His face flickered, irritation, then that same half smile he used at parties. She told you that. Of course she did. I stepped closer. You think she would hide that forever? He rubbed the back of his neck and looked away for a moment. Okay, I drank a lot. I got emotional. It was dumb. That is not enough, my voice rose. You have been texting her for weeks. His eyes snapped back to mine. You went through her phone. She handed it to me. I held his stare. You crossed that line on your own. He rolled his eyes and walked a few steps away, pacing in a short line. She knew what she was doing. Something about that line made my heart pound harder. What does that mean? She flirted back sometimes. He jerked one shoulder. You did not see those parts, did you? I thought about the thread I had read, the flat replies, the quick subject changes. Show me one example, I said, right now. He stopped pacing. I am not digging through my phone so you can play detective. You just accused her of flirting. I took another step. Prove that or shut up. For a second his mask slipped, his mouth twisted in annoyance. You really think little Mia is some helpless doll? I felt heat rise in my neck. I think she said no and you ignored it. He laughed once sharp. You know how women are when they say no but keep talking. That sentence made something snap inside me. I moved toward him so fast I surprised even myself. My hands balled into fists. You are talking about the woman I am about to marry, I hissed. Choose your words. He lifted both palms like I was a cop pointing a gun. Back up, I am not the enemy here. You grabbed her when my back was turned. My chest was heaving now. You whispered that it should have been you, then you kept mingling like nothing happened. He looked at me for a long second, then his shoulders dropped a little. Fine, I screwed up, I was drunk, I got in my feelings. You want an apology, I can apologize. I did not move. Are you sorry you did it or sorry you got caught? His jaw tightened. Does it matter? It matters to me, my voice shook, because I have to decide if you stay in my life after this. When I said that, I watched the surprise flash over his face. I do not think it had clicked yet that this could end the friendship. In his mind, I was still the guy who laughed everything off. You are not serious, he scoffed. We have known each other forever. That does not give you a pass to hit on my partner, I forced each word out, in my home at our engagement. He stared at me, then snorted. You think I want her that bad? I thought of the message, if you ever change your mind, you know where I live. Yes, I answered, I think exactly that. That wiped the sarcasm off his face. He looked away, then back, then away again. His fingers tapped against his thigh in a restless rhythm. Fine, he muttered, yeah, I have feelings for her. The room spun for a heartbeat. Hearing it out loud hit harder than reading any text. How long? My voice was colder now. He shrugged. A while. Be specific. I stepped closer again. You are not getting away with vague. He exhaled through his nose. Since before you two got serious. Something inside me twisted, not because he liked her. That could have happened to anyone, because he stayed next to me through all of it and never once put space between himself and her. You could have taken distance, I said. You chose the opposite. I did not want to lose both of you, he snapped. I thought I could handle it. By sending her late-night messages, I replied. By touching her at parties, by telling her it should have been you. He shook his head and laughed bitterly. You are acting like she is a statue and I am some villain. You are acting like she owes you something because you caught feelings, I shot back. His mouth tightened, then he leaned forward slightly like he wanted to land a hit with words instead. You know what really pissed me off, he said quietly, watching you coast while she did everything. I frowned. What does that even mean? She organizes your life, he said. She keeps you on track, you drag your feet and she still shows up for you. Are we evaluating my relationship now? I could feel the rage shifting shape. I watched you take her for granted, he went on. So yeah, a part of me thought you did not deserve her. That line cut through me in a different way, because I knew there were grains of truth in it. I had leaned on her a lot, rescheduling stuff, keeping family happy, handling details I hated. None of that changed what he did. So your solution was to try and steal her, I said. That is your logic. It is not like that, he ran a hand through his hair. I thought if she really wanted you, nothing I did would matter. And if she did not, I replied, you would be there to catch her. He looked me dead in the eyes. Exactly. Hearing that warped reasoning made my stomach churn. It turned my engagement into some kind of test in his mind, a twisted little experiment. You are not a safety net, I said. You are a landmine. He scoffed. You are acting like I forced her into nothing. You held her hips while she told you to move, I snapped. I do not know what you call that, but it is not harmless. He flinched at that, then hardened again. She did not push me away, he countered. She should not have to shove you to make you listen, I replied. Words are enough. We stood there breathing hard, the space between us charged. I could feel the line where an argument turns into a fight. We were standing right on it. You want me to grovel, he asked. Is that what this is? I want you to own what you did, I said, without blaming the woman you targeted, without hiding behind the bottle. He laughed again, but there was no humor in it. You sound like some therapist right now. Funny, I shot back. You sound like every guy who knows exactly what he is doing and pretends he tripped. He stepped closer. We were chest to chest now. His eyes were bright, not sad, not guilty, excited. That shook me more than anything he had said yet. You think you are better than me? He asked softly. No, the word surprised him. I think I let you get away with way too much. He blinked. I cheered you on when you bragged, I went on. I cracked jokes about other men while you messed with their lives. I defended you when people complained. I did that. I was proud to be your loyal friend. And now his jaw flexed. Now I see that loyalty turned me into cover, I answered. You used me as proof that you are a good guy. He dropped his gaze for a second, then met mine again. You came all the way here to dump me as a friend. I came here to give you one chance to be honest, I said. You took it and turned it into a speech about how you know what is best for my relationship. His lip curled. You will come back, he muttered. When she gets bored and leaves you, you will need someone then. The punch I almost threw started right there. I felt my arm twitch. I saw myself knocking him down, wiping that expression off his face. I saw the fallout, the cops, my job, Mia watching me become another problem instead of removing the one already here. I grabbed his hoodie with both hands and shoved him hard into the wall instead. Picture frames rattled. His eyes went wide for a second. If you ever touch her again, I said low, I am done talking. He shoved back. We stumbled. My shoulder hit the wall. For a moment we were just two idiots wrestling in a hallway, both too stubborn to step back. He broke away first. His chest rose and fell fast. You are choosing her over me, he said, after everything. That sentence right there, I replied, is why this is over. We were brothers, he snapped. Brothers do not stalk the other one's partner, I said. They do not wait for a crack and then pry it open. He pressed his tongue against his teeth and looked away toward the door. Get out, he muttered, before this gets worse. It is already worse, I answered. You just do not feel it yet. I stepped back toward the entrance. My hands still shook. My throat burned from holding back every word I wanted to scream. At the door I turned once more. Do not call her, do not text her, I said. Do not try to twist this in the group chat. If you drag her name through your little stories, I will make sure everyone hears exactly what you did. He snorted. No one will believe you over me. They will believe Mia, I replied, and Mark, you are not as charming as you think. For a second fear flickered in his eyes, just a flash, but I caught it and kept it. That was the only satisfying thing about the entire mess. I walked out before I could change my mind. The door shut behind me with a dull thud that felt final. My hands were still buzzing, my heart still raced, but under all that noise, one cold thought settled. I had finally chosen a side. The problem was I still had to go home and show Mia that choice with actions, not just a bruised ego and a fight story. I dropped my keys on the counter hard enough to make her flinch. Mia stood at the sink with a glass in her hand. She did not look surprised to see me, just tense. Her eyes went straight to my face, then to my fists, then back again. She set the glass down like she did not trust her grip. "You went to see him?" Her voice stayed low, steady. "Yeah," I tried to breathe normal. My heart was still racing. "I just left his place." "How bad?" She folded her arms like she needed something to hold. I leaned on the counter to keep from pacing. "He admitted it." My throat felt rough. "He told me he has feelings for you, that it is not some joke." She inhaled once sharp. "He actually used that word. He said he has had them since before we were official." My jaw clenched again. "He also said he thought I did not deserve you." Her face went through a whole range in 3 seconds. Hurt, anger, something like confirmation. "That part does not shock me," she murmured. "It shocks me that he said it out loud," I replied. He was annoyed I showed up, not ashamed of what he did. She looked down at the sink, then back at me. "Did he blame me?" "Yeah." My stomach twisted as I remembered it. "He tried to. He claimed you flirted. I pushed him on it. He refused to show anything that backed it up." She let out a breath that sounded more like a laugh and a sob mashed together. "Of course. I told him he went after you on purpose," I continued. "Not because you asked for it, because you are taken and he likes that." She studied my face like she was trying to decide if I believed my own words. "How did he react?" "He got defensive, then weirdly excited," I answered. "It was like arguing with somebody who enjoys the thrill more than the fallout." Her shoulders sagged for a second. "So you have no doubts now?" "None." I shook my head. I saw enough in his eyes to kill every benefit of the doubt. "What else happened?" She narrowed her gaze. "Because you came in like you were ready to punch through a wall." I hesitated, not because I wanted to hide it, but because I already knew how it would sound. "We shoved each other," I said finally. "I grabbed him, he shoved back, I did not throw a punch." Yet her eyebrows rose. "Yet," I admitted, "I wanted to. I stopped because I pictured cops and headlines and you stuck cleaning that up too." A tiny flash of relief crossed her face at the part where I stopped. It did not erase the disappointment. "I get why you snapped," she said. "I also cannot build a life with someone who solves everything with his fists." "I know." I rubbed my eyes. "That is why I walked out when I did." She was quiet for a moment. The quiet felt different now, not empty, thick. "So what now?" she asked. "In your head, what is your plan?" I pulled my phone out and unlocked it. "First thing, I am blocking him." I scrolled to his name, my thumb hovering for half a second, then hit block. The screen flashed confirmation. It felt small and huge at the same time. "Show me." Mia held out her hand. "Please." I placed the phone in her palm. She checked the contact, saw the blocked flag, then tapped into the group chat we shared with friends. "You still in there?" she asked. "For now," I said. "I was going to leave after I talked to you." She handed the phone back. "Do it." My chest tightened for a different reason this time. That chat had been our digital hangout for years. I opened it, watched the scroll of inside jokes for half a second, then tapped leave. The system message popped up. Ethan left the chat. It stung, I am not going to lie. Bits of my history were in there. I stared at the blank screen after and felt something break off behind my ribs. "Okay," I said quietly, "he cannot reach you through me anymore." "That is one piece," she replied. "It is not the whole picture." "I know." I slipped the phone into my pocket. "Tell me what the whole picture looks like for you." She leaned against the counter, elbows locked like she needed the support. "I want to keep us," she said. "I am not sure I can keep this exact version of us." My heart thudded harder. "What does that mean?" "It means the engagement as it is right now feels contaminated," she answered. "We celebrated with someone who was actively trying to sabotage us." I winced. The word poison was floating in my own mind. She had just chosen a kinder term. "So you want to break it off?" "No." She looked straight at me. "I am not walking away from you, not today. I am saying we need to pause the wedding machine, the guest lists, the venue, all that." My stomach dropped. "You still want to marry me, though?" "I want to see how you handle this long term," she replied, "not just over one angry weekend." That hurt and made sense at the same time. I had minimized things for so long that one dramatic confrontation could not erase that pattern. "So we put the plans on hold," I repeated slowly, "but stay together." "Unless you do not want that," she said. She watched my face carefully. "We can have that conversation too." "I want you," I answered. "Even if the wedding happens later than I hoped, I want you more than I want a date on a calendar." Her eyes softened a fraction. "Then we figure out how to fix this foundation," she said, "with actual work, not just blocking him and pretending that was enough." We ended up sitting at the table, facing each other like we were in some low-budget interrogation scene. hands wrapped around mugs we barely touched. I made an appointment, she said suddenly, with a counselor from my insurance list for couples. You already did that, I blinked. Yesterday, she answered, before you went to see Mark, I did not know if you would come with me or if I would go alone. A weird mix of shame and gratitude washed over me. She had moved toward fixing while I was still deciding how much truth I could handle from my own friend. I will go, I said, tell me when and where I will be there. Her eyes searched mine again, looking for cracks. You might hear things about yourself you do not like. Well, I have already heard some, I replied. From you, from Mark, from my own brain at 3 in the morning. Therapists have a special way of holding up mirrors, she said. It hits different. Good, I answered, because whatever I have been doing on my own clearly was not enough. That was the first night I slept on the couch by choice, not as punishment, as space. She went to bed early. I stayed up, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation with Kyle and the one with her. I realized I was more scared of losing her respect than losing him as a friend, which should have been true from the beginning. The first counseling session came fast. We sat on a small sofa side by side while the counselor watched us with calm curiosity. She asked how we ended up there. Mia went first. She talked about patterns, not just the incident, how often she felt brushed aside when it came to my friends. The times she had mentioned discomfort and I had labeled it overthinking. She did not raise her voice once. That steadiness cut deeper than anger. When it was my turn, I felt my throat tighten again. I treated my friend's loyalty like a shield, I said. If I believed he was a good guy, then I did not have to look at the damage from his behavior. The counselor nodded slowly. And what did that cost you? She asked. It cost her safety, I answered. It cost me credibility. It almost cost us completely. Mia blinked hard at that. Her hand rested on her knee, fingers tapping. I wanted to reach for it and also felt like I had not earned that contact yet. We kept going. I admitted I had liked being the easygoing one, the guy who brushed things off. It made me feel chill and reasonable. I did not say out loud that it had been a convenient excuse to avoid conflict. She filled that gap for me. You pushed hard when it came to work or your family, Mia said. You only pulled back when it was about your friends. She was not wrong. That realization sat heavy in my chest. The counselor highlighted it gently. She talked about selective courage. That phrase lodged itself in my mind and never left. After the session, we walked to the parking lot in silence. The air felt cool against my face, which helped. Well, I said, that was brutal. Yeah, she replied, and weirdly helpful. We stood by the car for a second. I finally took the risk and reached for her hand. She let me hold it, not loosely, not tightly, just enough to say this is still here but fragile. Are you glad we went? I asked. Ask me after the 5th session, she said. 1 hour will not fix years of habits. She was right. I hated that she had to be the one reminding me of that, but she was right. Back at home, I did something that felt small and huge again. I opened my social apps and scrubbed him out, unfollow, remove from close friends lists. I did not announce anything publicly. I did not drag him in comments. I just quietly erased access. Marg texted later. You okay? I answered honestly for once. Not really, working on it. He replied. Good, and she deserves that. He did not mention Kyle. I did not either. That silence was its own statement. Over the next weeks, we kept the ring on her finger and the big plans off the calendar. We told family the date was moving. People asked nosy questions. We dodged them. I realized how many relatives think a delayed wedding means instant breakup. At home, we built small routines, shared calendars, clearer boundaries about friends and alcohol and late-night messages. It was not cute. It was not some montage. It was uncomfortable and slow and full of awkward check-ins. More than once, she looked at me and asked directly, do you miss him? The first time I lied, not really. The second time I told the truth. Yeah, I said, I miss the version I thought he was. I do not miss the real one. That answer seemed to land better. She nodded, that I can understand. Now writing this, we are in a strange in-between, still together, still engaged technically. No final date, no photographer, a lot more honesty than before. Kyle is gone from my phone, gone from my daily life. He tried once to reach out through another friend. I told that friend exactly what had happened and asked them not to be his messenger. That conversation was rough. I did it anyway. Sometimes I catch myself scrolling old photos and my eyes land on him in the background. Arms slung around my shoulders, smile wide. I feel my stomach knot up every time. Those pictures used to make me nostalgic. Now they make me angry at myself for how long I let things slide. So that is where we are. I finally picked my future over my history. I cut off the guy I once called a brother because he decided my relationship was a game. I am trying to prove to the woman I love that I will not ignore warning signs again, even when they come from people close to me. I know I handled pieces of this badly. I minimized, I stalled. I protected the wrong person for way too long. So, internets and Rangers, here is my question. Am I doing enough now to repair the damage, or did I wait so long to grow a spine that I do not deserve another chance with her?